Ducati's home race this weekend. We will find out over the next 3 days. As Pecco
At that point, at 220 miles an hour as you go on that crest cab, you're trying to keep the front wheel on the ground. Unfortunately now with the speeds they're doing on, you're trying to spot your brake marker, you grab the brakes, you hope the brakes are there because he's had a little bit of a tank slapper and sometimes it can.
So this is just a replay of Fabio Quartararo's start device this morning. That was the voice of Neil Hodgson. It's shot up 20 degrees on track. What's it like down there in Italy?
Yeah, it's very hot, very hot. The track is really heating up now. They all got a bit surprised with the amount of grip that was available, especially from the rear. So, yeah, we'll see for this FP2, but now...
Oh, wasn't he? At the entrance, sorry, the exit, should I say, from pit lane. I mean, it is going to be vital because you expect a lot. Well, look at how much on the first couple of laps, Mir and Rins always seem to make up because they have to. Starters.
Yeah. If you get a bad jump, if that initial 10 yards, the bike doesn't go forward quite enough, you really lose your momentum and you can get swallowed up in the back. Behind
Pecco Bagnaia, just 1 point behind Fabio Quartararo in the championship, the Italian, and for many...
Go Bagnaia! No, but you're so right, Gavin. That is the beauty. Genuinely, I am going to go for Pecco Bagnaia in those tricky conditions. A worse result of 6th. I just feel like the momentum's building for him this weekend.
And that certainly seems like the way...
As in the very lovely, spicy, garlicky pasta sauce.
Yes, right, we'll still arrabbiata. Yeah.
I'm going to Google that now.
Yeah, you absolutely, well, you are right. Neil, got anything to come back on that? Yeah, and being able to make the bike turn, perhaps, where Dovi wasn't able. What is it that Pecco does different?
Well, it's his riding style. More of the, like the young lad coming up from Moto2. And Zarco rides a bit like that as well. This could be due to maybe the Formula 1, coming to race here last year.
Yeah, it's a possibility. Obviously, they don't normally come in races.
No, and the fact that they've not ridden here for 2 years, just in general, the tracks do settle. And yeah, what does happen though is that as the weekend goes on, nobody wants to lead. It's a Moto 3.
Oh, that's quite funny there because what I saw, Miller went through and took over. His hand went up in the air as if to say, "Come on, lads."
Well, Jack won't care, will he? I say it's the right way. Just crack on with your plan because Jack will be trying to put some mileage on those tyres to get some improvement.
After 2 wins on the bounce, did you see that coming?
No, I didn't see that coming. He started that fantastic lap in qualifying. I remember behind Pecco. Really great lap time in qualifying. So great. I mean, great for him. Good on him. Jack, I think we all like to see him perform well.
I mean,
he's genuine. He talks the truth, and with him and Cal together, Shemwell.
Oh my goodness me!
But they're just
crocs as far as the eye can see.
Yeah, that's true. But both just loves the sport, and it hasn't changed throughout his time in the paddock. As let's say there was kicks in the backside or something like that. Really.
Presenting on air, which has happened probably on about 5 or 6 occasions where he's run into a little bit of trouble, and actually it's on the way up the hill.
Yeah, just got into turn 1 a little bit. You have to release a little bit of pressure, and as soon as you release a little bit of pressure, you're going in a little bit too hot. Off the racing line.
Following Maverick, and I think they were almost down pit lane then, weren't they? They hang so far into pit lane, but you have to quickly...
You can get a much better exit, carry more speed, and we've talked about it already this weekend. If you can carry that initial 1 or 2 kilometres out.
For Sylvain, we talked a little bit about him earlier on today, where he's head at and how he's coming to this weekend positive. One thing we just mentioned, bugbear, isn't it? Trying to get the 1 lap pace out of the bike.
Yeah, the 1 lap pace, we were talking about it yesterday again with Frankie Kakedi, a little bit of performance with that ultimate, no fuel, lightweight, new tyres, which is an exercise that is completely different to the Timao, and these were all proper in the dry, full-time attack lap. So the bike kind of the differences are tiny, but it's a good job that the bike starts really well because they tend to recover pace
early on in the race, get already from the first lap and start getting pace out of them.
Yes, because these tyres they are struggle, turn 3. You're there with the slicks, even sometime after a few laps, it's difficult. We see Valentino missing his braking and the temperature of the track. They can need a few laps. So yeah, that's very important for the start of the race, to be able to have confidence.
I've got a question actually, now we've got Fabio Quartararo on the screen. For you as a Frenchman, Sylvain, what's Fabio's standing now? Is it front page news?
Yeah, it's gone massive. The last few years, with both of them, and especially this year, evolving. And now, I mean, the TV ratings are similar to F1. They're getting a lot of support because of their performance, and they're able to, you know, to get people behind them and supporting them by performing week. It's funny because when you are like at your home race and you do something a bit special like a few laps, and people still talk about it. So there is a massive, there's an effect, you know, where you can get behind it, the general public's behind the sport, and yeah, at the moment that's what's happening in France with these two great champions. I mean, they are absolute
characters. How are they perceived in France? I mean, like with regards to popularity.
To the journalist and being very just keeping himself to himself. And now, since everything that's happened with his team, he's now like a completely different person. He's basically himself now. It's nice to see, but he's a bit of a, I mean, he's typical French.
We would be allowed to say that.
Yeah, he is though, isn't he? And we all love him for that. And it's so interesting you say that, because when I've enjoyed himself, but then over the years, he's definitely opened up. And now, I think what you said there, I think with what he's experienced with,
he won the World Championship in Moto2 2 times with this kind of bubble around him, so it did work. And from that moment, it was just like training, nothing else, no girlfriends, no going out, no getting drunk with your mates, you know, like full on thing where he was not happy at KTM. He just decided basically that he just had enough of this type of life, and he just wanted to be himself. And if that he was able to carry on and given this opportunity, this second chance basically, and now he's just releasing it. He's just enjoys guys, you know, they we see them on the bike and they all think they are superheroes and this and that, but at the end of the day they are human.
In his own way, isn't he? He's like a new school kind of kid. He's Fabio.
Cool kid, isn't he? Just, and he looks like he's having a good... Of course it did, he's 21 years old, and it's a new experience for him, and it's...
all that mental anguish as well, I think that's...
Exactly. Give you some coping mechanisms on how to deal with the stress, or when it's not going quite according to plan, without beating his...
Yeah, he's... I mean, he's very clever the way he's analysed the season from this needs to be sorted, I need to go and see a sport psychiatric, I need some a different approach to the driver. But he actually pinpointed his weaknesses and worked on it all winter, and now what we have is unbelievable, except from this arm problem he had in Jerez. He's had a fantastic start of the season. He's
looks like the real deal this year, doesn't he? This Fabio Quartararo. Just 15 minutes, or 20 minutes, there's light at the end of a dark KTM tunnel as things stand. I've noticed in terms of the tyres, a lot of the hard fronts being put in, particularly Marquez.
Seeing it looked like he'd not enough grip on the rear, really. Just one thing to pick up on what Sylvain was saying then about Fabio, which I think is really interesting. It's either the team did this, or the bike wouldn't allow me to do this, or that's gone wrong, or I was unlucky here. Don't get me wrong, sometimes people around you. And for any young kids watching this that are in any sport, I think it's a real important part of...
better rider for it.
A much better rider for it.
So much talent, as we know. Here's Valentino Rossi making his way back out. What they found post-Jerez in that test, that could be translated again here this weekend. Not the case.
All these riders in front of the, inside the top 10 are in a rhythm already, and the average rhythm is 1.5 seconds. The rhythm, you've not got the feeling you need, and it's so important, and especially now more so than ever.
That boy, 1.6 seconds off. He's on the hard tyres front and rear. It just looks nervous. It doesn't look like Mark on the bike.
A lot from his shoulder. So this is an horrendous track as well to be riding with problems with the uncomfortable, and why at the moment he's struggling a bit with the lap times.
Yeah, trying to change his riding style. He did say before the start of the weekend,
he was at that point after a rest, knowing that I haven't got the strength.
Big crashes also.
Yeah,
these big crashes.
There were talks with his, so. But he's decided the best rehab for it is to get out there and try and build some strength.
And I think the doctors said that to him, didn't they?
Yeah, he's currently 15 fastest, 1.4 seconds off the pace.
He needs to rebuild himself really, because he's been away for 9 months, and the multiple surgeries on his humerus and on the Suzuki, and you're a bit injured. It's probably not as much of a problem. You can probably ride around it a little bit, but
that's the only way you get that Honda to work, isn't it? By really being aggressive with it.
Scruff of the neck.
He used to look like the boss on the bike, but now at the moment it looks like he's been ridden around by the bike.
It's all built up as much as possible. What are they showing us here?
They were showing us Looked like he's got his finger up ready for the break. Here's Dobby.
He's out there. Yeah, we've just seen the Aprilia coming down on the straight. He's been testing for them. That's signed up. It's going to happen. That's all right, Sylvan, isn't it? You'll be able to get the all the details out of Dobby about what's happening.
Yeah, I think as soon as he turned up in Qatar, it was very good. The engine is the same base as the one they used last year, but they've got a revised, like, really surprising, you know, when you turn up somewhere and the team goes, oh yeah, we've got a brand new bike, everything is new. I mean, you're off, so they worked on that engine character. It was a weak engine last year, you know, for a V4, not any straight lines.
Aprilia doing something here in Mugelo. What's it got when we get down the straight? As Sylvan said, there it has been a week for 20 miles per hour march, just losing out a little bit on outright top speed, but they're all fairly bunched up quite close.
The chassis, because it's an engine that's longer, it's not as easy to balance the weight of the bike. So the Aprilia is there, but it's not quite there maybe. And the problem that they've got is then they will
146.584 with Vinales' time on combined time on the left-hand side of your screen. Medium tyre seems to be the one that everyone's looking at. Well, the odd person who's gone on the hard rear. Valentino Rossi is one of those who's currently out on
this year, isn't it? Yeah. If you think about it, every track we've been to, he should have had three wins in a row, actually, with Jerez. Fast again, fast and consistent already this weekend.
Yeah, I think Fabio's been working many laps with used tyres, and yeah, putting that base there, getting the bike dialed in for the race. And
I mean, with Quartararo, you could bet your mortgage on it. I mean, he's incredibly precise when he puts up.
As he went through there, penny for Danilo Petrucci's thoughts. Last time we came to this circuit, he was on cloud 9, winning the
in World Superbike.
Well, in theory, Rinaldi.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, at round 1, I don't know where he was. He didn't turn up at round 1, did he, Rinaldi? Unfortunately.
Actually, since the start of the year, like you're saying, Neil, it's a bit of a struggle. I mean, he got a P5 in Le Mans with the horrendous conditions. They're struggling. You can tell the riders, you know, are not happy, and they're really struggling. The surprise of this session though is so fast.
Is there anything you've heard there about how KTM? We've heard a lot of noises. Obviously, we get to hear at the moment because obviously there's been some loud noises coming from Miguel so far this year.
Yeah, what's happened is the thing in that window where there was no tyre that would suit them perfectly, especially for the first race. For Qatar, real struggle for them because good second race in Qatar with that tyre. But yeah, they've struggled a bit. But for example, here in Mugello, we have a completely standard, and then the hard is the H, and these are the completely standard tyres, no asymmetric tyres in the front here. So there shouldn't be any issues for them. And
within that top 10, if I'm not mistaken, all the manufacturers are represented, are they or not? Yeah, even Nakagami in 10th place. So those before helping. Remember, they always used it with Pedrosa.
I usually look at the time screens, Gav,
it was always
or trying to work out, well, you know, what tyres everyone's running. I don't look at least at least someone's observant. Yeah. Wow, look at that wheeling.
I first noticed it on Danny Pedrosa's bike. From him and Marc Marquez, between the pair of them, I've quite enjoyed it. It's a bit like a soap opera unfolding between them. The late post, but Neil, Mark responding to that in kind with his own powerful comment.
Mark was saying yesterday, this year, really, we've got Miller, Bagnaia, I think it was Quartararo, Bagnaia and Rins, which I thought was funny. Did about being consistent maybe once every 20 years, but you've basically got to, if you want to win another one, you've got to go out. That'll be me, it's a game of tennis, isn't it? Me will serve one back at Marquez.
I love it.
I like it. You know, it's sometimes nice when there's a bit of extra spice. We like a bit of spice, don't we?
Yeah, of course we do. We love to see it.
Googled it, and it is
I've just Googled it. So I'm wrong. So, fact that I'll get it wrong on quite a few occasions.
We just roll with it.
But we just roll with it.
We let the day so far as he rolled down the start-finish straight. No, lost time in that last sector, lost the chunk of time.
Got quiet this weekend, but this is the new Jack Miller, I feel like. He's not sort of forcing it, that race setup, and understanding the feeling, so that when it comes to the race, he chooses the right tyre, and
he's had a factory bike in the past, but being sat in there with all the technicians surrounding you, hanging on your Jack Miller through the final corner now. What's he got for the Ducati as he gets the power down to the ground? Time's been put in now. I haven't got an indicator on my screens about what tyres Jack's currently running, but I'm going to hazard a guess that it might up towards Luca and Poncho Secco. That's where they would be, up on that meadow up there. Beautiful, beautiful countryside around.
Like his It's not like it's gone out of line a long way and he's had to do a big release. And look, he's actually following his own rut off the pace.
Here we go then on board with Jack Miller, and he's a 10th underneath. We've seen this a little bit this year, aren't we? You've noticed, Sylvain?
Yeah, sometimes what happens is with putting the new rear tyre, the first lap you almost have too much grip with the lap time sometime in the second or the third lap.
I'm loving the fact we've got a heart rate running.
Davide's like, he's quite an intense individual. He is ex-racer, he's been the team manager in the Super, but I definitely thought his heart rate would be higher than that.
Obviously been off the coffee today, as Davide, he watches some feet actually, look at the pace they're running.
I'm surprised here he's gone back to the latest chassis, having stepped.
Did you see that?
Yeah, that was
Repsol Honda bike.
What I feel with Nakagami a little bit, and I might be wrong, but for him being Japanese and 21 with the development, so he understands more. Yeah, okay, cool. You can stick with the old chassis.
Because he's going really well in your Fabio Quartararo.
Look at the lap. Quartararo was on. It was 0.3 up halfway around.
As predicted by Sylvain early on in this session, get the lap 4 of his 16 was his fastest lap, and now in the last 2 minutes he's got a couple more opportunities. Was sat up, didn't quite catch who it might have been, and that's what I think affected Joan Mir.
Vignales sat up as well. So see, that shows you that they need the support of these bikes. They really need that strong front tyre to be able to stop the bike.
Round all the time, can you? Getting in people's way. I know it's not qualifying or anything like that, but it's a I'll tell
you what,
Joan faster than you, because they're both struggling. They're both a bit off the pace, aren't they?
Is down in 21st. Pol Espargaro in 15th. They know they need a tow, and I saw Joan Mir go out on that tyre, or second flying lap anyway, and it's nowhere near as quick perhaps as his previous one. Remember, he was 3 now. Is he going to be able to get past the Italian? He's trying to force it to fit, and he does. He's up in the 3rd sector now. So, half a minute still as Alex Rins, nothing to choose between them as he comes across the line. He loses a 10th, but you can imagine that he's had to check
time, and he's been consistent in this session, and he's got another lap to go, so it's not over yet.
Go back to Alex Rins. He's super fast. A wide line to get that late apex on the Suzuki, carry as much speed as he can down the straight. Morbidelli's up in himself calm, just making a few notes. Ken Kawauchi there down inside the Suzuki garage, just making a few notes as we take Morbidelli on that 2-year-old Yamaha right in the mix. And as things stand, he's the top Yamaha, but that may change. The softs. What Aleix Espargaro got here, he's gonna not quite in the slipstream there of Miguel in Mugello, and he loses out in that final sector yet again, as he has done on a couple of occasions.
Let's look at the opposite. There's the Ducati.
Round of applause from Paolo Giavatti down in the Ducati garage. Pecco Bagnaia made up time in the last sector.
He's an ex-racer. He's now trying to stay and relax and not move, do deep breathing just to keep his heart rate down, just so he looks really fit.
The factory Ducatis. Oh, brilliant. That's Pecco Bagnaia giving congratulations to Maverick Viñales for the birth of his daughter, which is a little bit of a surprise for us.
Got to put it in gear.
And Joan Mir also missing out, as do the two reps.
Touring for a lap and a half around a live racetrack, playing games with each other clearly. No, you go, no, well, I'm not going to show you the...
Fighting in the Spanish Championship. We're way back. Don't forget, beautiful bank holiday weekend with your mates or your family, wherever you may be. So get the app downloaded to your mobile or your tablet. We're on tomorrow morning too. And on Sunday, Mighty Cards already, 12:30 for the MotoGP race itself. But after FP in FP2 for Maverick Viñales, there you can see it live from the morning on the left-hand side. It was the time to focus on race setup and maybe just saving some for tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I think we saw that. You can't rule out the factory Honda too. So yeah, Maverick working on the previous race as a result.